Presenting Combustor from WA Production. This plugin is a unique way to create your own personalised compressor characteristics. This inspirational effect features adaptive saturation processing to add crunch and subtle harmonics to your audio, all within a single plugin. Combustor features all the compressor controls you're familiar with, and some surprises too, with 5 different saturation models and generous options for sound shaping. Before I get into the detail, here are a few before and after audio examples. Be sure to grab some headphones or listen through decent monitors to hear the full results of the sometimes subtle compression and saturation effects. Running in all major plugin formats for Mac and PC, Combustor features regular compressor controls, alongside 5 different saturation modes, peak and RMS processing, sidechain mode, and a central mix knob for parallel processing. There's also a full range of factory presets that you can use as jumping off points on the way to creating your own unique sound. So let's dive in. First off, a bit of background information. Every compressor, both hardware and software versions, have their own unique timbre and tonality. This is due to the performance of the real-life hardware circuitry or the modelling of the circuits in the virtual realm. This results in compressors all sounding slightly different, and everybody will have their favourites. With Combustor, we've taken these usually hidden saturation models and brought them into the front panel of the interface, so that you can design your own compressor characteristics by dialing in varying amounts of the different models. So you can glue tracks together, add a little crunch and sparkle, or just make your sounds pop a bit more effectively. This is the interface with almost everything accessible right on the front panel. And because Combustor is designed with vector graphics, you can resize by dragging the bottom right handle just here. Let's start with the preset section. With plenty of presets to get you up and running, just click them to load. There's lots of variation here, from completely squashed dynamics to subtle saturated excitement, and even some bread and butter standard compression. Click on the Combustor logo to bypass the effect. Click and pop free. A quick look at the main compressor controls, which I'll not get into too deeply as they mimic the controls of other standard compressors you'll likely already be familiar with. As with a regular compressor, it's firstly about balancing the level of the incoming signal and adjusting the threshold. In the case of Combustor, the threshold can easily be tweaked with the center fader just here, and input level change just here. Then you can adjust the ratio of the compression, how much the signal is compressed by once it crosses the threshold. The attack dial dictates for how many milliseconds a signal can cross the threshold before being compressed. Release controls how long the compressor takes to return to the uncompressed signal once the signal has fallen below the threshold. The knee dial you may not see on every compressor. This determines the curve of the transition from an uncompressed signal to a compressed signal. If the knee is set to 0, the compression will kick in immediately. If you turn the knee up, the compression starts more gradually. You can switch between RMS and peak style compression with this dial, or set a combination of both. The nuts and bolts of RMS and peak are more complex than I have the time to get into in this video, so you'll need to check out some other resources, but it's useful to learn the information. Lastly, the bottom mix dial just here runs from completely dry to 100% wet. Set it between these two extremes for parallel processing, with the wet signal just mixed in a little. Useful for more understated effects. Now let's get into the saturation, which you can dial in just here, from 0 to 100%. There are 5 different types of modelling, A through E. Click here to change them. A is probably the most subtle, running through to E, which is the most kind of extreme fizz with upper harmonics, although each have different characters. Experiment with these saturation types, all of which adapt to the audio that's coming through the compressor. Try adjusting the saturation level and the overall mix ratio. Push the settings harder and the saturation will react accordingly. One last thing to mention, the sidechain mode here, that acts like a regular sidechain compressor. Here we've got a pad. In Combustor, select sidechain input for the plugin, in this case the kick signal. Then click the sidechain button. You can hear the pad ducking out of the way of the kick. Increase the effect with the threshold fader and ratio dial. And tweak the saturation until you find something you like. You can use this sidechain not for just pumping dance music, but to duck instruments out of the way of vocals and other useful mixing techniques. So that's the basic idea behind Combustor. As you can see, it's a flexible compressor with a myriad of options for shaping the sound and getting unique characteristic compression. For more information, check out Combustor at WA Production and Plugin Boutique. Thanks for watching.